So without any further ado, we'll move on to the very first opening keynote address. Unfortunately, the chairman is not available, so Terrence Harrison will be joining us on stage. Terrence is currently the Group Manager, Talent and Learning Development and Resourcing for South African operations of ArcelorMittal. Terrence, can you please join us upstage? Thank you.
All right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Unfortunately, as you can hear, the chair is not available. So after this, if anyone would like to come and ask me what it feels like to be the chair for 15 minutes, I'll let you know. Right. Just get my eyes on so I can actually see what I'm reading here. As a result, I will have to be kind of reading the speaker notes, but if you can bear with me for those couple of minutes and I don't have great eye contact with you, just forgive me for that. All right, so it's really a pleasure for me to open this conference. The Rising Star Conference is a great idea. It's something that we should really embrace in South Africa. So I'm not opening it in the capacity as the chair, but just in the capacity as I was introduced. So a special welcome then to all the companies that are here, that are present, all the company executives, etc. I'd also like to also welcome any rising stars that are amongst us, and I know there probably are a number of you that are actually attending this conference, so a special welcome to you. Sorry. Okay, today's going to be a great day as far as I can make out from our interactive sessions, and I think the message is that we try and make it quite interactive, and that we don't just do the death by PowerPoint, which is happens quite a lot at conferences. I don't really believe in conferences where we just talk about blue sky scenario. I actually prefer it that when we get to a conference, we talk about what has actually been done, what's been implemented, what works, what doesn't work. And I think that's where we need to get our learnings from today and make it interactive. So the ArcelorMittal session specifically won't be a one-sided session, but we'll probably ask your participation and put questions to you rather than you questions to us, just to get all those brains working and get the synergy going. Just a bit about our company. We're a very global company. We've got operations in more than 60 countries throughout the world. Our employee complement is around about 240,000 people at a global scale, so it's quite big. We have a large network of employees, obviously. So if you look at our experience within the global scenario, and I'm talking across the globe, from the Americas right through to Eastern Europe, and I look back at South Africa, you know what comes, it's like a wow factor. It's like, wow, South Africa's got talent. We really have got talent. We don't need to stand back. We don't need to look at our colleagues overseas and say, well, we're this little tip of Africa and we don't have the talent, and yes, we can learn from everybody else. We really don't need to stand back. We've got that talent, and we really are actually thought leaders as well as benchmarks in certain facets within the company. So if I look at our engineering training, we're absolutely the benchmark for the ArcelorMittal Group globally. And you would think that's not really possible being here in South Africa, but it is, and that's also part of our legacy. We didn't have much option but to train. Where in Europe, you have lots of colleges producing the people, and you can actually take them off their hands, so it's really not an issue. Another thing is, if we look at our group, our previous executive vice president of HR for the entire global group is a South African. So that also talks to the kind of talent that we do have, and that's the kind of a message I want to just bring across is have confidence in ourselves, and the rising stars that are here, have confidence in yourselves, and go out there and show people what we can actually do, because we can do a lot. So the theme of this year is whose job is it anyway? And this strikes a chord with us as a company due to the traditional focus on engineering and engineering training, because that was really our focus. It's always been the hardcore engineering stuff rather than opposed to the sort of leadership development and managerial kind of skills. And this is because of the fact that everything we do is based on engineering principles. However, you can't go through life having just engineering people in a company. Otherwise, we'll get to the scenario which has been predicted many years ago, where a company of our size will be run by one man and one dog. And I don't know if you know that story. It doesn't have to be a man, it can be a person, if you want to be politically correct. One person and one dog. And then most people sort of look at you funnily and, yeah, why one man? Well, you need only one person to run the company because of the technology. Okay, but what about the dog? Are the dogs to keep the man away from the technology? Let it run itself. Okay, let it run itself. So you can't do that, and you do need good leaders and talented people that can actually run that organization and put that kind of thought leadership into place. So within the larger group then, we have a program which we call the GEDP, which is basically our global employee development program. And that's driven globally. So we have a process, and all the countries obviously adhere to the process. And then it gets back down to this whole engineering thing, and sort of a phrase that once upon a time I coined somewhere, calling learning by osmosis. So that's one way of learning by osmosis. That slow process of gathering information, and eventually you get it. And it's a traditional thing in an engineering company like ourselves, where an operator of a blast furnace, which is a very specialized skill, you're looking at a 10-year training period. Now, you can get your PhD from nothing in 10 years probably. Now you become an operator in 10 years, and that's kind of that thing of, no, but you really need this experience, and you have to pair with this person, and it takes so long. However, putting down formalized programs really fast tracks that. And that's kind of the theme that we'll be presenting in our breakaway session, is that structured program versus learning by osmosis program. And both are good. And there's value in both. But you have to look at the individual to determine which is the right route to take. The osmosis route, which I kind of went through, and the structured programs where you come in and everything's given to you, not spoon-fed, but given to you, and there's specific objectives. So with all of these competing technologies and this global process with our GDP, we really feel that this is the cornerstone of our people strategy, and it's the foundation for developing lasting improvement by effectively managing the performance, the potential, and the development of our people. It's absolutely imperative. And I mean, the people, after all, are our greatest asset. It's not our machines, it's not our technology, it's our people. They are the assets that we need to look after. And we really need to grow and nurture them to make sure that they can drive the processes forward. How we do that is we have a knowledge management program that we drive, where we make sure that all of our organizational knowledge is captured and is transferred. Unfortunately, in South Africa, being down the bottom here of Africa, and let's look at a specific plant that we have, which is called the blast furnace, where it's your primary process of melting iron. If we need a skill there, where do we go? We can't find it in South Africa because they would be working for us. So the unfortunate thing is we have to get expats in from our sister companies overseas to transfer those skills. And then it's very, very important that when they come in, that there are formalized programs put on so that learning does not take place via osmosis, that people then, South Africans, are skilled up. Okay, we've gone through a dip where we had many skilled people and they've left over time, etc. And therefore we need to rebuild those skills. And that's kind of the South African story. We need to build skills, we need to hold on to those skills, we need to find a way of encouraging people to grow and to stay within the company. And we do that via development and engaging them. We have social learning in place. We do a lot we have a specific model where we look at so much percentage is based on practical, on-the-job kind of learning. Social learning takes up a portion as well. And then our face-to-face or your formal classroom training is what we look at as 10%. So coming out of varsity, we only know 10%. And then we start learning. The return on investment is difficult to measure, but theming it into the conference, the investment is huge. It really is. I mean, without that investment into our people, we really would not be able to run the business. And I think it's likewise with any company that's sitting here today. In fact, there was a recent study that suggests that organizations with the highest quality of leaders were 13 times more likely to outperform their competition in key bottom line metrics such as financial performance. And this is why in financial straits, in financial times like now that we're experiencing in South Africa, certain companies, you should never cut your training budgets and your development budgets. And I can be proud to stand here and say we never did that. We've always gone and we've had a supportive board and we've had a supportive CEO. To the point when you get into a budget meeting, she will say, you don't even have to present your budget, you've got it. Because she understands that the training and development budget is so important to developing skills in South Africa, and I think we should all try and get a lesson from that and get to the point where we can really develop our people. So as a result of this focused development of young talent, we as a company has established and continue to develop our young talents through our development pipeline. So we have a large development pipeline. It's just shy of 3,000 people. It varies up and down, 2,500 to 3,000 people that we're continually developing for the company. Now we only have 10,000 employees in South Africa, but our pipeline is around about 2,500 to 3,000 people. A lot of those people are developed. What we absorb we can, and then the rest goes into the national pool so that we're doing our bit as a corporate citizen for South Africa to develop our youth in South Africa so that they can go on and become useful to society. So it's very important for us. So we do our most to do that. But of course, in addition to our development pipelines, we have our talent development pipeline for employees who we engage with, we develop, we identify, and we have a global program because we have a registered ArcelorMittal University. So we've got a corporate university, it's registered in Luxembourg. And South Africa was the first satellite campus outside of Luxembourg. So we have these specific programs where all our leaders would go to Luxembourg and be developed so that we can almost sort of say ArcelorMittalize them, brainwash them, whatever you want to call it, so that everybody in all the countries kind of reacts the same way, has the same culture, the same mindset, and tries to drive things forward. We've coined that phrase to say we develop our future leaders today. So it's very important to look into that future and do it now. And through these collaborations with our corporate university, it's very, very important. And of course, that gives you that level of engagement for your employee to send them overseas and engage them on a program. And that is where this wonderful thing called networking comes in. And there's many good learning methodologies, but networking is a great thing for people to have. So they would meet up with fellow colleagues, everybody in a foreign country basically, everybody speaking a different language, so the common language is English, broken English mostly, but it's English. And a couple of months later you have an issue, you have a problem, and you say, but I remember that person, and you contact them, and then your information starts to flow. So we have knowledge management programs where we exchange internationally. And these are all kind of things that I'm sure most of you as companies do in any case, but it's just an introduction to this whole theme. Right, during the year we had one of our young talents that was recognized, Cyril Emmerich, sitting here today. He was recognized and received an award for the mining and industrial category, so that was great. He went through that process. And if you ever come to our session today, you'll see that he actually talks about learning by osmosis as well. He went that route, but obviously it does depend on the individual themselves, and we're working with different generations, and you must take cognizance of that. And that we do through all of our mentorship programs. And mentorship is one of those programs that kind of people use, don't use, but there's immense value to using a mentorship program. And he will tell you outright that with the kind of mindset that he has, the tenacity to drive himself, if you had to couple that with mentoring and structured programming, then your development is so much quicker and so much faster. Globally, we have about 500 mentors available to the group. And in our mentoring program, what we do encourage is nobody to have a mentor in your own country or in your own discipline. So we would like you, all of our young talents, to have a mentor coupled to another country outside of your discipline. Because mentoring is not about coaching. It's not about telling you how to do the job. It's about your network, your career, and that kind of progression. So it's a great thing that's offered to us as a global program. We're also very active in assisting our education department in terms of basic education. Because if your pipeline feed doesn't have the right levels of maths and science, we've got a problem. And we all know that we do have that problem in South Africa that's been openly acknowledged. And we have many programs, we have many science centers throughout South Africa that we drive in terms of where we have operations. And those youngsters, those learners coming out of those programs will come into our pipeline development programs. We take them out of school in terms of maths, science, English, and we actually present that in our science centers. So it's not an add-on to the curriculum, it's not a Saturday afternoon school. We actually go with buses, take them out of school, take them to the science centers, and then bus them back. When we actually don't use educators there, we use edutainers. Okay? And it works. The kids actually think they've been entertained, but at the same time they're learning. So it's great, and let's hope that rubs off. So we're busy. We're involved with many of these national programs, as are a lot of you out there. I know that. So we applaud you for the work that you are doing out there, and I'd really urge you to continue with all the kind of work that you're doing, where you're addressing skills prior to your need. Because if we don't address the skills at the basic level, the entrance into our programs are going to be substandard, and we're always going to have problems with that. So by adding and improving those skills, we're going to end up with much more talented individuals at a later stage, which is really where we need to get to for employment. Okay, so we fast-track the process of learning, as I've explained already, through having a structured program rather than having a learning by osmosis route. However, we do believe that learning should be lifelong and that learning should be self-directed. So the question, whose job is it anyway? Is it the individual? Is it the company? Or is it both? That's the kind of question I think we're going to resolve today, or hopefully resolve, or at least get those inquiring minds out there engaged so that we can solve that problem. I think if we can get that right as a country, if we can have the right programs with the right talent driving those programs, then we're really going to make a difference in our country. Because the only constant in our country and everywhere really is the changing world of work. It's continually changing, that's a constant. And we need to drive that. When that individual then that comes into your business that has got the right background grounding, has the potential, you have the structured programs, you engage with them and develop them, a star is literally born at that moment. And that's really what this event is all about. So I have no doubt that all of our companies out there are doing their utmost to drive development programs throughout South Africa to develop talent. So that I'm grateful for. If we do that, South Africa is going to bloom. And I'd really like to change this name of the Rising Star Summit in a couple of years' time. You know, it might not be the Rising Star if we carry on this route. Maybe I should change it to the Emerging Galaxy or something. You know, we have so many stars out there. I think that's really what we're trying to do and where we're trying to get to. So on behalf of ArcelorMittal, then I'd just like to thank you for all attending. Please make this session interactive. Ask your questions, engage with everybody so that we can get the best out of it. Rather than just sitting here, going back and say, oh, that was nice. You know, actually the food wasn't bad. What did I learn today? No, nothing. I can't remember. So let's not go that route. And I'd just like to end off the speech with a quote from our CEO and chairman of the global group, ArcelorMittal. And this is what he says about talent and the development of it. We should not only continuously challenge and improve ourselves, we should also actively encourage and foster talent and responsibility in others. We want everyone in our company to find in their professional lives a capacity to accomplish themselves, to put the best into what they do. If you show initiative and accept these challenges, then there will be no hindrance to your growth. Thank you.